Welcome into Dolphins Today. I'm your host, Will Scott, and y'all, I have been looking forward to this show for a long time. It's my first Dolphins mock draft here with Chat Sports, and yes, I know the Dolphins only have 4 picks in this year's draft, but still plenty to look forward to in 2 weeks' time. Here are the 4 selections that the Dolphins have. They, of course, traded their first and second round picks for Tyreek Hill. They traded their 5th round pick to New England as part of that Devontae Parker trade. So here are the picks right now. So no first and second round picks, no 5th and 6th round picks, 4 picks in this year's draft. And so I went on PFN, I did their mock draft, and I'm on the board at pick 102. And we have a trade proposal from the Baltimore Ravens, and here it is. The Dolphins receive a 2022 4th-round pick, so they're just moving 8 spots back, and they're getting an additional 4th-round pick, just giving up that 7th-round pick. I think this is a great deal when you're just moving 4 spots, or I should say 8 spots back. So now here are our picks after that mock trade with Baltimore, which I did accept with the Ravens. 3 4th-round picks, so you go from 1 4th-round pick to 3 4th-round picks, and you still have a pick in the 7th round. The pick I gave up to the Ravens was the Dolphins' 2nd pick in the 7th round, so it wasn't even pick 224. It was a later pick. And Dolphins fans, if you love the Dolphins, please subscribe. Now, we're going to keep you up to date here on Chat Sports with all Dolphins draft news and rumors. Every single prospect the Dolphins have met with, and they can meet up to 30, we have told you about, and we're going to keep that up. Now, here are the notable players taken by pick 110. And when the Baltimore Ravens sent me that trade proposal at pick 102, Channing Tindall was still on the board out of Georgia, who I'm really high on, star linebacker on that Bulldogs championship team. And I figured if you move 8 spots back, he's probably not going to be on the board. And sure enough, the Texans took him at pick 107. Cam Taylor-Britt, another notable name off the board at 103, and Marquise Hayes, who I really like, a guard out of Oklahoma, taken at pick 105. So you could have gotten some of those guys had you taken that pick at 102 and not traded. The Ravens traded up to get Justin Ross. There are still plenty of big names, though, for us to take at 110. Here are the names at pick 110. Calvin Austin, star wide receiver out of Memphis, surprisingly falling this far in the draft. Tyler Beatty out of Mizzou, a running back still on the board. Reports from the Miami Herald this morning that the Dolphins may still look to add another running back even after going out and getting Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert. And then obviously one of my favorite prospects, Luke Fortner, still on the board there, as well as Zachary Carter and Wan'Dale Robinson. And so what is my pick at 110? I couldn't pass on him. Calvin Austin is my selection, wide receiver out of Memphis. Now, it's very unlikely that he falls to the Dolphins at 110, or even if they don't trade out of there and pick 102. He could go fairly early in the 2nd round, middle of the 2nd round, so I don't see him falling this far. But if he is on the board here for the Dolphins, you cannot pass on him. He's too talented. You traded for Tyreek. Yes, you signed Cedric Wilson, but they may be looking to add a wide receiver in the draft after trading Devontae Parker. You don't really need to, but when you have an opportunity to get a talent like Calvin Austin, I think that's too good to pass up. You know what? I think the Dolphins would be the fastest team in NFL history with Calvin Austin III in that receiving room. You already have the 2 fastest wide receivers in the NFL, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. You put those 2 on the field with Calvin Austin III, good luck stopping that Dolphins defense. So, look, I picked Calvin Austin because he was the best player on the board. I wasn't really filling a big team need. So tell me what you would do. Would you draft the best player on the board, or would you draft for team need? Tell me what your draft strategy would be. I'd love to hear for you down in the comments. So that's our first pick, Calvin Austin III. We still somehow landed him even after trading back out of round 3 into round 4. So now let's fast forward to our second selection in round 4, where these players were taken just before our selection, including Brian Robinson III. So he's off the board. Wan'Dale Robinson, Brian Cook as well, and then Tyler Beatty off the board. I like Zachary Carter, a defensive tackle out of Florida, and that would kind of fill a need on that Dolphins team. But look who's still available. Luke Fortner still on the board. My favorite center in this year's draft. I thought about taking him at 110, I'll be honest. But Calvin Austin, I ended up with him. And so no surprise here. I'm taking Luke Fortner in the 4th round. He has a lot of experience at both left guard, center, and right guard. He moved to right guard from center prior to the 2021 season, but he's still expected to play center in the National Football League, first-team All-SEC selection at Kentucky. Look, I still want to sign J.C. Tretter. I think J.C. Tretter is the best option for this Dolphins team at the center position going forward. I think that would be an unbelievable pickup if you're able to get J.C. Tretter. But if you don't sign J.C. Tretter and Luke Fortner's on the board for you in round 3 or round 4, I am all for taking a guy like Luke Fortner. So he's my favorite center. Is he yours? Let me hear from you in the comments section if Luke Fortner is your favorite center in this draft, or maybe it's Alec Lindstrom out of Boston College. Let me know what you think down in the comments section as we now move on to our 3rd selection in the 4th round. So we took Calvin Austin with our first pick in this draft. Then we took Luke Fortner. That Luke Fortner pick fills more of a need on this Dolphins team. They absolutely need to draft a center if they don't sign one in free agency in the next 2 weeks. Calvin Austin, very talented wide receiver. Luke Fortner, best center in the SEC arguably. So I really, really like those 2 picks to start. If they get drafted, by the way, by the Dolphins, and whoever gets picked by the Dolphins, we're going to be breaking it down for you on Chat Sports. And look, ESPN, once you get into the later rounds, they're not going to be breaking down every prospect like we'll be doing on Chat Sports. And that's really great for us Dolphins fans, because we don't have a 1st or 2nd round pick in the draft. So we're going to be taking more players in those later rounds. And, those big-time networks are not going to be breaking down those picks, but be sure to tune in to Chat Sports where we will be doing plenty of that. Now to our last pick, our 3rd and final pick in round 4. JT Woods off the board. And I included him on that list because the Dolphins met with him the other day. He's one of the 6 confirmed prospects that the Dolphins have met with here in the last couple of weeks. They also met with Zach Tom, a center out of Wake Forest. He's off the board. But if you draft Luke Fortner, you don't need to take Zach Tom here. Tyquan Thornton, they have a workout scheduled with him in a few days. He is still on the board. That is huge because he is a very speedy wide receiver out of Baylor. But in my mock draft, I already took Calvin Austin. I wouldn't take Thornton as well. Chris Paul and Cade Mays, I was deciding between those 2 because I think you still need to draft another offensive lineman even after taking Fortner. I went with Cade Mays. I'm really high on this guy because of his versatility. He's one of the more versatile offensive linemen in this entire draft. Has a lot of experience on that right side. 18 career starts at right guard, 13 at right tackle, and the Dolphins obviously need some help there right now. They're fine on the left side. I think they're going to either draft or sign a center. On the right side, I like Robert Hunt. I want to see how Austin Jackson can do in that right tackle spot, but it doesn't hurt to have them compete against some guys in camp. So I'm all for the Dolphins drafting 4 offensive linemen. Yes, you only have 4 picks in this year's draft. I think they should spend at least 2 of them on that offensive line, keep building up that offensive line for Tua Tagovailoa. Let me know what you think, though. Would you draft more than 1 offensive lineman? Type your Y for yes, or you're in for no. So here are our selections thus far. Calvin Austin III, Luke Fortner, and Cade Mays. You get the best player on the board there at 110, and you fill some team needs taking Luke Fortner and Cade Mays in the 4th round. So now let's jump to the 7th round, where we've talked about some of these guys. We've talked about Sincere McCormick. We've talked about Dylan Parham. We've talked about Micah McFadden out of NC State. They have just all been taken right before the Dolphins pick in round 7. Still some notable names, though, on the board. Mike Impey, a center out of BYU, is on the board, and in ESPN's 7-round mock draft the other day, the Dolphins took Impey in the 7th round, even after taking Donovan West, a center out of Arizona State. Shout out Jack Lauderay, producer here, where he went to Arizona State. So you have a couple different guys that are still on the board here at pick 224. Bo Melton may be my favorite, but I went with Micah McFadden out of Indiana. So, look, you still need, I think, to draft a linebacker. I understand they brought back a Landon Roberts. You brought back Duke Riley. But this is an absolute steal if he falls to the 7th round. The Athletic has him as a projected 5th-round pick. I was really surprised to still see him on the board in round 7. 6.5 sacks for Indiana. He was very overlooked out of high school. Only had 4 FBS offers, and he goes to Indiana and becomes an All-American there. 2020 third-team All-American. He's on the Big Ten team 2 straight seasons. So as I said, the Dolphins should draft a linebacker. Even if they sign Reuben Foster, even if they're able to pick up another edge rusher in Melvin Ingram, you absolutely should sign another linebacker and add to that depth that you have right now. Yes, it was important to bring all those guys back. I would still bring somebody in. So here is my mock draft. Calvin Austin III, Luke Fortner, Cade Mays, and Micah McFadden. I like it. I think I'd give myself an A, but let me know what you think down in the comments. Don't hold back. I'm not going to take offense to if you give me an F. Let me know. We'll be doing 1 or 2 more of these before the draft. So let me know what you think about my first mock draft. Type A, B, C, D, or F in the comments section. This has been Will Scott with Dolphins Today. Talk to you soon. Go Fins.